somebody's bowing. When I was learning the job from Fatherkins, there was once between North and Drowpole Bridge, when the barges was there, Neville, you got on and off from the barges.
Yeah.
And he slipped getting off. I was already off. And sometimes you were higher up. There was no ladders. It's not like in the docks where you have your companionway. Sometimes you had to jump. I mean, before I was on the job, my mother said he jumped off a ship once onto the top of one of these dumb barges that were lined up.
Yeah.
And went straight through the tarpaulin. And luckily it had cargo in. If it had been empty, you're talking the height of this room to the well, it killed him. But it went straight through the tarpaulin because there was they had the timber covers, then it wasn't hatches. And luckily it went into the grain. Otherwise it probably. But this time I'm just mentioning to you, he slipped, and I grabbed him as he fell down, grabbed him, and half his body went, and it was fast flowing, he could have been swept away, people went in, didn't they? It wasn't unknown for somebody to...
They didn't come back out, did they?
You always asked what the draft was, because it was relevant, and the further up the river you went, because rivers you're going up, aren't you, to flow down, so you get less water the further up you go. So a berth at Stone Ferry would maybe have 2 or 3 foot less water on the berth than at North Bridge or Wink. See what I mean? So you needed to know the draft. Then you'd look at because there was a scale of the berth. I remember it. I've got it somewhere from father and his grandfather, whatever, where you had the deductions, because you just have to use a plumb line. What you do is, given the tide at Albert Dock, you used Albert Dock as your basis. So what you do is, I didn't do it, it was already pre-done, and because all the wharfs were regularly used and the ships were sitting on the bottom, they kept the same. It didn't change much. Now we're totally different. But I remember once just double checking, not long after he'd gone, when I was asked to do it, just to double check. So you just get a line and you drop it down at slack water, so you knew what the tide was at Albert Dock. So you measure it maybe 14 foot, and just double checking when you hit the bottom, when it was slack water, you can feel it at the bottom, the weight, and then you just double check, because that was important, because if that was wrong, yes, you'd have the water in the channel, because the channels kept clean with every time the tide ebbs, it swills it out. But if you get to the berth and you can't get alongside and you're stuck in the middle, that's no good. That happened a few times, especially on Scott Street Bend. You get stuck on that bend and you just sit in the middle. You wouldn't keel over because it was but you'd be in the middle of the river where you couldn't discharge. I remember it happening once. RBL Forge Wharf, back of Spiders.
Oh yeah.
He got stuck with one in the middle of the river, and the tide was going out, and it was a calculated risk. When it's gone high water, you get a period called slack water where nothing happens. The run up stops, and then it starts going out. And he took a risk to Fatherkins to try and get there. It was only another few hundred yards, but the ebb tide started pushing out, and then you start going all. And anyway, that ship ended up stuck in the middle of the river for 12 hours. But what they did was, from the wharf, they brought a lot of piping, RBL. They actually fed pipe work all the way from the shore, right down to, and somehow managed to get the pipe work onto the ship and discharge it in the middle of the river.
Right.
Yeah, but it blocked the river, and like Neville with his bar, you couldn't get past. So it was an obstruction.
Yeah.
But it was a case of once you can't do anything. You can't move a ship when it's stuck on the bottom of the river, can you?
So that was always a problem coming down lake. If you're coming down on the ebb tide, you go around the corner, you don't know what's around the corner. So you're stuck in the middle. That's it, bang.
You see, it's like a fish. You always need to be head to tide. If you've got the tide, and I've done it lots of times when you've been late, if you've got a tide ebbing and you're going the same way, all your steerage with your rudder, it's based on the water coming from the bow, the sharp end, down ports, and that's how you steer. When it's the other way and the tide's pushing the wrong way, you'll lose your steerage. Plus, on a narrow area like ours, it doesn't matter so much on the Humber and the Trent and that. you've got a narrow with the bends and that, you lose your steerage, as he said, and it can be very, very dangerous to a point where you just lose it completely, and you can't even stop.
It matters on the top end of the Trent when we used to be gravelling.
Did it?
You come round some of them corners and the gravel or ground.
Well, that
was it. You had to run yourself.
That main one on the Trent was Morton's Corner. Do you remember that? Morton's Corner.
Stony.
You used to come back on yourself like that.
Well, Stony was worse than Morton. I don't know whether you went round that one, did you? You will have done. If you went up to Lincoln.
I can't remember that.
Morton's at the bottom end of...
that near Gainsborough, isn't it?
Yeah, bottom end of Gainsborough's Morton. Stony's the top end when you go through the bridge and go around under the railway bridge. Because there's a railway bridge there and the corner's there and you think, I'm going to go under that, what you do.
I know what you mean, yeah.
And you used to get gravels of ground all over the bloody place, didn't you? And if you was loaded, there's just nowhere for it to go. You just run yourself for ground.
Because you have to wait, don't you?
You wait in, otherwise.
Yeah.
And another problem was you coming down after the tide before. If somebody had been aground, all the sand would build up behind them. You would hit that in because you didn't know it was there. That would stop you then.
It sounds like really highly specialised knowledge.
It's local knowledge, is this? It's just passed down, and it's trial and error as well. You know, you've got, and then it becomes just like a lot of things part of your life.
Even the language you're using is really sort of specialised, you know.
But it must have frightened. Well, it did frighten a lot of these, especially captains. Even though they're only little vessels, these coasters, they go in the docks. I mean, there is creeks wherever, but I don't think there was anywhere like ours. I don't think I've never had anybody say, this isn't blubby neck. It was. Sometimes it was not frightening to the point where it was just so busy at times when it was a busy tide and everything we've discussed that these guys must have thought, bloody hell.
Yeah, what have I come to?
Well, apart from not knowing where they were going,
right,
they were pretty much in your hands because it was normal to us, but it was a bit chaotic. I don't think they'll have had it anywhere else. What we talk with barges running into you. It just doesn't happen anyway. It just didn't happen anyway.
Is there any superstitions attached to it?
Yeah, don't wear green.
Don't wear green?
Green jumpers, that's what I got told.
Really?
Don't whistle, that I got told, don't whistle them.
He used to wear his belt with the buckle at the side so it didn't get caught in the wind. Because if you ground, the wheel spins.
Yes.
Anything in the road.
Well, somebody got killed there. I remember a young kid getting killed because it smacked him.
I had a picture of a sloop in the early 19th, coming through Scott Street Bridge in about 1910 or something, back with a big sail on. It's absolute, and that was how it was for time immemorial before the coasters started. What I was on, and it was a different era in the sail era. That must have been enchanting. That don't you think?
Yeah. That's the only regret I have. We never took photos when we was on barges.
That's the same as me.